We are on. Welcome back. We're up to Masechtas Chagigah, page 10a at the Mishna. So now we're jumping into a new Mishna with a new topic, and it seems so out of discussion, out of something we have even learned anything related to it till now. But it's going to mention something about Chagigahs as well, so that could be one answer as to why it comes in here. But I want to suggest a different answer. I'm calling Masechtas Chagigah the tractate, the Masechta of sharing, of connection. And part of getting connecting with people, is by sharing knowledge, sharing life history, like we have seen before, that the sages would share what ticked them off, what made them cry. So when you share something that's personal to you with other people, that's a way of connecting. It's another way of becoming vulnerable, but that's a way of becoming connection. If you love someone, you're opening up with that person, and you're becoming vulnerable by opening up to a person. That person could use that against you afterwards if he's not your friend, or if he's not trustworthy. But here, the mission is going to go into a place where they're going to just share with us some more knowledge, Torah knowledge. So we're going to start talking about general things, and that's why I say this Mishnah comes in this tractate, because it's just sharing something that's general knowledge about the whole Torah. It's not just about Chagigah, even though Chagigah is mentioned within it. So the Mishnah starts off saying, Heter Nedurim, the idea that you can, if someone makes a neder means a pledge, but it's a little more than just a pledge. They made a neder that they will do something, and the Torah says that you cannot forgo. You have to do what you promise you'll do. But there is a way of taking away the neder by reversing it. Now, of course, he himself can do it. He has to go to a Chochom, or he has to go to a Bezdin with 3 people, and one of them has to know his excuse as to why he's trying to retract. But then they have the power to retract whatever he promised is neder. So this idea that you can retract a neder for someone, Chochom ba'aver, it floats in the air. It does not have on what to rely on. Now, what does it mean? It means that the Torah does not specifically say that you can reverse a neder for someone, that you can take it away. The Torah hints it. So that's what it means. It's flying in the air, and it doesn't really have a leg on what to stand on. It's only mentioned as a hint in a pasuk. That's the first level. Second level is Hilchos Shabbos. All the halachas of Shabbos, we know there's a lot of halachas of Shabbos, pretty big. Chagigah, which is the holiday that we just learned now, the offering for the holiday. Vame'ilas, me'ilas means anything that belongs to a hektish, which is dedicated, it's been segregated for hektish, and if someone goes and uses it for himself by mistake, intentionally, so he's moil behektish, meaning he's used something that it's a way of stealing. But you're not stealing from anyone. You're stealing from Hashem, from something that's been hektish, which has its own halachas. All of these are harayan, kehurim, hatliyim, b'sara. They are like mountains that are hanging on a hair. So the expression is that there are a lot of details in it, a lot to know, but there's so little mentioned in the Torah. Okay? Why? And the Mishnah explains it. Shehen mikre miyet has very little written in the Torah, but luchas meribis, they have a lot of laws, a lot of luchas with it. Then the Mishnah finishes the third level. Hadina. Dina means the laws between people, monetary disputes, va'avodas, and how to bring the offerings in the Beit HaMikdash, in the temple. Hatoras va'tomas va'haroyos. Atoras means purities, va'tomas means impurities, what's not pure. Va'haroyos means what's permissible, with whom people are permissible to marry and whom not. Yesh lehem al ma sheyismichi. They have plenty on what to rely on. And not only that, the hen gifai Torah. This is the most what the Torah talks about. Meaning they don't have so many halachas. But whatever there is written clearly in the Torah. So, again, why is this come in here? One answer would be because we see Chagigah. We want to learn about Chagigah, which is like a mountain that hangs in the air. So it comes in our Mishna. And my answer was because they're sharing with us. It's a way of connecting, giving us knowledge about general Torah, not just specific about halachas. So that's another way. It's the Masechta of connecting. Is another way of connecting. So the Gemara starts. Tanya, we learn. Now the Gemara always starts on the first part of the Mishnah. The idea that you can reverse someone's neder. Where does it come from? So the Gemara is going to bring us many different opinions as to where this comes from. Where do we see it in the Torah? The Eliezer says, Yesh lechem al mashu yismachi. It does have something to rely on. It's not totally hanging in the air. Why? Because it says in Pusik, ki yafli, shtai poma. It says 2 times the expression ki yafli, which means if you'll reveal, you know what? I do want to see how they translate yafli. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up here with translation. Ki yafli. When a man should clearly utter a vow, I like the word vow better than a promise because he has to keep his vow. When either man or woman shall clearly utter a vow. Okay, kiyafli means clearly utter. That's how they translate it. So it appears twice, the word of clearly utter. And we're going to learn that this is at the time when someone becomes a nazir. Okay? We've had this before. A nazir is someone who has forbidden himself from touching or eating or drinking wine for 30 days minimum. And they wanted to be extra holy, extra connection. So in that case, the Pesukim, it mentions the word kiyafli, means clearly utter, and it says it twice in there. So he says that Eliezer says, why does the Torah say it twice, which is a double? Now it's not right after the other. It's not kiyafli. It's in different Pesukim, but it's in the same story, the same subject. The Torah mentions it twice. So he says, Achas haflu Eliezer. The first time he clearly utters that he wants to forbid himself from doing something. The second time is hinted that you can also clearly utter that you want to reverse it. You have the power, not he himself, but you can go to a Chochom, you can go to a Bezin, they can come and they can reverse it for you. And it's hinted in the Torah. Again, it's not clearly saying it, but it says it has something to lean on. This is what Eliezer says. Rabbi Yeshia says, he also says, Yesh lehem amashi yismechi. It also has something that it can rely on. Shenema, because it says in Pusik, Asher nishbati be'api. Hashem said that I have vowed within my anger. It was talking about the Golos, about what happened to the Eden. So Hashem said, I vowed be'api at the time when I was angry. So you can see from that Hashem is hinting, be'api nishbati. I only did it when I was angry. The chuzarti bi, but I regretted it. I reversed it. So you see the idea in the Torah that you can reverse when you do something, and I don't know if it's a good excuse to say I did it out of anger, but at least because he says bi'api, I did that out of anger, so he says that's what it means. It means, now I have to clarify here. The more later we're going to see that it doesn't necessarily mean that he reversed it. It means that I've done it while I was angry, and then, but what Rabbi Yeshia is learning from it, because you're saying I did it while I was angry, you shouldn't have said I did it while I was angry. I did it, I finished. Because he said I did it while I was angry, it means that I've reversed it. I only did it because I was angry. That's basically how they read it. And that's why they claim that it has something to lean on because it's mentioned, it's hinted in the Pusik. The Yitzchak says, Yesh lem al mashi yisnichi, it has something to lean on. Because it says in Pusik, Kol nediv liboy, This is at a time when the people, the Israelis, they donated from their possessions to build the Mishkan, the temple, and the to success could deliver anyone what their heart desired to give. So he says, because his heart wanted to give. So what does it mean? Don't you have to say what you want to give? So he says, no, maybe you said something, but then your heart, you didn't feel like it, that you can reverse. Because it says, if your heart wanted to give it. So he's squeezing it from here. I don't know if I can use the term squeeze. He says from here, it's hinted that if your heart is not fully there, you can reverse what you said. Hananya ben Achi, Hananya the son of Achi, Rabbi Yeshia, Achi Rabbi Yeshia, Yeshlem Amash Yismich, it has what to lean on, because it says in Pusik, Nishbati, Vakayaimu, Nishban, Nishbatat Kechu. Nishbati is I vowed, Vakayaimu, and I kept it. What was it? Lishmor, that I'm going to guard the laws of the righteous. So, why do you have to say that you vowed and you kept it? If you vowed, you automatically have to keep it. So he says, because it says Nishbati Vakayaimu, I think this is in Tehillim, Psalm. So he says that I vowed and I kept it, means that you didn't reverse it. So this is again hinted that you have the power to reverse a vow. Rabbi Yehida Umar Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Yehida Umar Rabbi Yehida Umar Shmuel. This is already the next generation. Saying it in the name of Shmuel. Shmuel was the next generation. He was a Moira. The previous one were Tanoah. So it's not just the next generation, it's the next, I would say, 500 years. It's the sages that wrote the Gemara, not the Mishnahs. So they're later. And he says, if I would have been there, if I would have been there by this argument, I would have given them a better place. I would have told them, what I have is better than all of your Pesukim that you said. Because it says in Pusik, when someone makes a vow, the Torah says, Lo yachal devuroi. You should not forego your words. You have to do what you said. So, but the Torah doesn't say, Lo yachal devurav, which is the better say that his words should not be forgone. No, devuroi, his words in specifically to this person. Devuroi is singular, not in plural. Normal Torah should have said it in plural, that if someone makes a vow, he should not forego his words. But the Torah says it in singular, that person should not forego his words. That means he himself cannot reverse it. Other people, if he goes to a court or a bezin, they could reverse it for him, because the Torah says he, devoroi, as in singular, that person cannot step over his own word. Umar Ruva, so Ruva says, Lekilla isla lepelche. For all the ones that I've read till now, all the other phrases, the psikim, I can push them away. I question them. Levar me the Shmuel the less lepelche. Except for the one that Shmuel just brought, this is way stronger than anything we have seen till now. Why? So he's going to go over now everything we have learned till now. I hope you remember all the steps. It's going to be a quiz. So he's going to go over all the other ones that we just learned, and he's going to say that it's not really proof. It's just, okay, a hint. But what Shmuel says is much stronger, because it says he, as in singular, cannot forego his words. So he goes back. The image of Rabbi Eliezer, if you go to what Rabbi Eliezer said, which was the 2 times kiyafli, if you remember, shtay pe'umen kiyafli, when you clearly utter, remember we found that translation word. So if you go there, you can say, Dilma Rabbi Yehida, maybe the Pusik says twice kiyafli for a different reason, not because you can reverse. She'omar, Rabbi Yehida says, Mishim Reb Tarfon, the Tanya, we learned, Rabbi Yehida, Mishim Reb Tarfon, Rabbi Yehida says in the name of Tarfon, La'olam ein echad mahem nuzer. None of these 2 people are in nuzer. So for this we have to understand a little bit the Gemara, on that pusuk that we learned before, but it talks about two people that said, I am a nozer if this happens. And the other person says, I'm a nozer if that person is not a nozer. So to understand what happened, the Torah says, Rabbi says in the name, no, it doesn't work like that. If you want to become a nozer, you have to clearly order, and that's why the Torah says it twice, to make sure that you have to say very clear words. You cannot say conditions that's not clearly verifiable right now. So that's why. So it doesn't mean that it's because it could be reversed. It could mean just that the Torah really wants to state that you have to be very clear with your words. So it's not so much proof from there. The second one, Imid Rabbi Yoshia, which he said, Asher nishbati be'api, that I've sworn I vowed in my anger. This is what the Pusik says. Ba'api nishbati, yes, I did it while I was angry, but I never reversed it. Saying that I did it while I was angry is not proof that I've reversed it. Yes, you can say, why do you have to tell me that you did it out of anger? You must have not feel very well if you did that to begin with. I get that. But why do you have to tell me that he did it in anger? So Rabbi Yeshua said that's a hint that he reversed it. He only did it while he was angry. But now he says from the name of Rabbi Yeshua that no, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be that I did it while I'm angry and that's it. I'm not reversing it. So it's not proof. Even Rabbi Yitzchak, if you go back to the last thing we learned in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak, which was whatever your heart desired, maybe your heart changed. I lost my place. Yeah. Maybe the Torah uses the word to teach us something against what Shmuel says. To Shmuel says, Gumar beliboy, if somebody has made up in his heart to do something, he has to then say it with his mouth that he wants it. You can't just make a decision in your heart. It doesn't obligate you yet. Sorry. If you want to be obligated to do it, then you have to actually say it with your mouth. That's what Shmuel says. And that's why the Torah says, the Torah comes to teach us that even though you had not executed and said it with your mouth, you only want it in your heart, you already brought it. And that's what the Torah is telling. The Torah is not telling us that maybe you said something, but your heart wasn't there, and therefore it's proof that they're reversed. The Torah just says that even when someone only wants to give by heart, but they haven't said anything, they already brought it. So therefore, there's no proof from here that you can reverse someone's vow. So that wasn't the last one. There's one more here. Chanina, the son of the brother of Rabbi Yeshua, maybe it's Rav Gidl, Umarav. Rav Gidl, Umarav, and the name Rav Gidl said something, the name of Rav. From where do we know that you can make someone vow that he's going to fulfill a mitzvah that he's obligated to do? I think it goes even more than that. I think it goes that every soul before he gets born, before he comes down to this world, they make him swear that he's going to fulfill his duties, going to fulfill his mitzvah as to what he is to be sent down to this world. I don't know if that's the literal, actual, like the translation, the meaning of the pasuk, or maybe that's just another pshat, another translation. But basically, it says that how do we know that you can swear or vow to become a mitzvah? Because it says, meaning it doesn't mean that I vowed and I fulfilled is proof that I can reverse a vow. No, I can swear that I will fulfill, that I will do. So if you read it that way, then it's not proof that you can reverse. Elu de Shmuel les la percha. But the last thing that Shmuel just learned, this you cannot forgo. You cannot challenge it. Why? Because the Torah clearly says, "La yachel devuroi," he in singular cannot forgo his words, but someone else could. The Torah didn't use the word in plural. The Torah used a singular word. So here comes a very interesting ending to that. Ruva says, and some say Reb Nachman, the son of Yitzchak, says, "Hana da amre inshe." This is the expression that many people use. Tuva chade pilpalte charifte. It's better one small hot pepper, memalai tzana de kurai, from a whole basket full of vegetables, full of I don't know, tzana de kurai, meaning it's onions or garlic. It's one small hot pepper gives you a better kick than all of these onions in here. So what does it mean? It means that Shmuel, which he was the next generation, he was a Memoira. It's better what he said than better than all what the Tanum said, even though they were the previous generation. His words were stronger. Okay, so pause. We're going into another subject here. First of all, any questions? Anything needs clarification? Good. I have a question though. I'm like, what have we done here till now? What have we learned? What does it mean to me? Why did the sages 1,500 years ago found this important to put into the Gemara for me to learn it? What am I walking away now?
Well, you could question many subjects in Gemara. Why are we doing? Why are we spending time on this? But there's a reason for it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So you can say the simple reason is of, hey, they wanted to teach us a way of thinking, open our minds, broaden our view. And when we see someone says something and it doesn't fit right, don't just run with it. See, can challenge it, live it. Okay. That's the simplest answer as to why the Gemara doesn't just give us the laws. The Gemara gives us the challenges behind it so that we can come up with our own laws and know the differences. That's good. But here, we haven't really learned any halacha either. We learned of something that's floating in the air, and then where could it be attached to? It's interesting, though. I would say that they're sharing with us something as in a way of connecting. It's not something that may be making a very big difference in halacha, but it's still something very much that they share with us as to their view as how they read the pasuk and what it meant to them, where they've seen, this is the hint as that we can reverse a vow, or this is the hint we can reverse a vow, meaning that no two people would read the same pasuk the same way. So as there are 600,000 souls or 600,000 ways of learning things, and everybody has their idea. And the expression at the end that that one little hot pepper is better, I guess you like hot pepper, better than a lot of onions or a whole basket of vegetables, is also very interesting. But I would say that, look, he connected life. He took regular expressions that people used in life. It's not like now I'm learning and now I'm working. No. He took the learning into his work, into his life, that an expression in life would come up in learning and say, yes, it fits right in. But yes, it's interesting. It's always good to step back and learn and say, so this is text 1,500 years old, and it wasn't easy to write and repeat it so many generations. I mean, back then they had to write on feather, on parchment, right? It wasn't easy. What are they teaching me here? What am I reading here, right? Okay, so now we're moving into another section. We have time? Another few minutes? Okay. Yeah, a little bit. We'll do another little piece. Hilchos Shabbos. So we learned in the Mishna, and I'll quickly scroll up. We learned that Hilchos Shabbos is one of the first things. There's a mountain that hangs on a hair. The expression the Mishna used. So Hilchos Shabbos, the Gemara says, it's written. It's written many times in the Torah. Okay, so of course, it's written in the Torah that we have to keep Shabbos many times. The main time is when in Parshas Vayakar, when Moshe gathered together all the Yidden and told them you should keep the Shabbos, and every melacha that has been done in the Mishkan, to build the Mishkan, you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. And that's where we learn 39 halachas. But 39 Av Meluchas, which is the big nose that you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. And from that, there's a lot of detailed children's, right, told us that we're not allowed to do on Shabbos. All the 39 is not written in the Torah. Torah just says, one phrase. All the avodah that you did in the Mishkan, you should not do on Shabbos. And the sages then learned 39 things out of it. So it's not really written in the Torah, all the details. It's clear that there's a lot more halachas and laws that are not written. But the concept of Shabbos, you have to keep Shabbos, that's written in the Torah. But how to keep Shabbos, the Torah doesn't say. So the Gemara is asking now, but Hilchos Shabbos, it's written in the Torah. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean all the details. It does not mean the actual 39 Av Melachos. It just said that it's written in the Torah not to keep Shabbos. So the Gemara answers, Lo tzricha. No. There is one thing in Shabbos that's what the Mishna meant, what it says, it's a mountain that hangs in a hair. Like Rab Abba, like what Rab Abba said. Rab Abba said, if somebody digs I'm going to use a trench, but it's not really a trench. You see, in the old days, the floor in the house was not piles or wood, it was sand. And if you picked up a bench and you pulled it, it would dig not a trench, how do you call that? A little scratch in the sand. Gimel b'Shabbos. That's basically what it's calling. It's, I don't know, it's a scratch. I don't know better translation.
Mark, of course, it would drag a mark on there.
It would drag a big mark. It would dig something in the earth. Now, no, on Shabbos we're not allowed to dig in the earth.
Right.
Okay? But the Gemara says that if someone digs in Shabbos, he digs a hole, but he doesn't need the earth. He doesn't need the hole. He just needs the earth. He's sweeping up, and he digs by sweeping up. He doesn't need the hole. He just needed the earth to cover something that's dirty or whatever. And the Gemara says, "Puter leyu." He's exempt. That's not what's forbidden. So it's very interesting here. Two people would do the exact same action. One is chayev, one is forbidden, and one is puter, or he's allowed to do it. The exact same action. Why? Because it depends the intention as to why he's doing it. Does he want the hole, or does he want the sand that he's getting there? And this is what the Gemara says, not written in the Torah. This is something that the same melacha, the same action, depends on the reason for it, and that's how it's judged if it's allowed or not to do. So a command, to whom does this go according to? To Rav Shimon. According to Rav Shimon, Rav Shimon says, if you're doing a melucha, but you don't really need the melucha, you need some side product. You're digging a hole, but you don't need the hole. You need the sand, putrelay, and you're exempt. So Yistimur says this is the mountain that hangs on a hair that's not really written in the Torah, because there's so many details in halachos, and it's not really physical. It's all just intentional. What the intention was as to the action. So the Gemara says, you know what? I feel the time in the Rav Yida, it can also be according to Rav Yida. If someone digs a hole, is another reason. Maybe he doesn't need the sand, maybe he needs the hole. But there's two reasons for what you need a hole. Is it because you're trying to build something? You need the hole because this is how you build, and it's awesome. If you need the hole because you're just in the mood of destroying, you mekalkel, then it's not awesome. Now, of course, soiser is one of the melechas that you're not allowed to destroy, but the issue of destroying is only if you're destroying so that you can build something better. Because in the Mishkan, when they destroyed something, because they needed to build something better in that place, it wasn't just destroyed for the sake of, I don't know what to do now. So if somebody just destroys for the sake of destroying, that's not the issue. So again, both need the hole, but a different intention. He wants the hole because he wants to build there. He wants to pour cement. He wants to do something in it. That's awesome. Forbidden. If somebody digs it because, I don't know, the day is too long for him and he has nothing better to do now, then he has not done something forbidden. So the Gemara says, "My hehurim tlim v'sara." So why is it a mountain that hangs in a hair? Now we're going over to page 10b, on the second side of page 10. The Gemara says, because meleches maksheves asra Torah. The melucha, based on what your intentions were, that's what the Torah forbids here. It's your intentions, your machshava. In meleches machshava, like you see that. And the concept of what your intention is, that's not written in the Torah. The Torah just says keep Shabbos, but doesn't say that you can do the same thing twice. In one time you're asr, one time not, because what's your intention? All that is not written in the Torah. All that is like a mountain that hangs in a hair. I think we're going to pause here. The next one is that we learned in the Mishna about Chagigah. So I'm going to just put a bookmark here so I remember it.
Let me ask you something. How is it sand different from the snow? If it snows on Shabbat and you gotta go to the shul or whatever, I mean, you're still leaving a mark on it.
But you don't need the hole. You're walking to shul and your footsteps making holes in the snow?
Yeah.
So you don't need the hole. You don't need the hole. You're not paying attention. Over there, you don't need not the snow and not the hole. You would rather for none of it to be there. Again, I gotta qualify that I'm by no means saying the end halacha. I'm not a dayan, I'm not a qualified senator. But what we have learned right now, that even if you dig in sand, if you don't need the sand or you don't intend to build anything in this hole, then you haven't yet transgressed. Means that you haven't transgressed the Torah prohibition. There may still be a rabbinical prohibition from doing that. Not only that, I cannot compare that to snow or to anything else because I'm not qualified to do that.
No,
that will have to be asked by someone who's a dime, someone knows it. But based on what we have learned now, I can say that, look, you don't need the snow, you don't need the hole that you make, so you're certainly not transgressing anything.
So for instance, if I go on the beach just to sit down on Shabbat, and I open the chair, so it could still if it should still stay still, I'm kind of making
pushing it right and left, so it shouldn't whirl or it should stand.
Yeah, so it's do it. You can't do it then.
That's a question, because now you're digging to stabilize something. You want the hole because you're building something. I wonder if that's considered building.
Logically, yes. I mean, I'm sure there's a little there, but
but if you sit and you kick your feet, and with kicking your feet you dug a hole, you haven't transgressed, because you don't need the hole, you don't need the sand. It's just something you're doing because you're, I don't know, bored.
Yeah, okay.
But if you want to stabilize the chair, that's a good question. I wonder. I don't think you transgress, but again, I'm not qualified to.
Listen, I understand. We're just discussing. Two Jews discussing, read and discussing. Same thing with the umbrella. I know you cannot open the umbrella on Shabbat, that's for sure. But you cannot even dig that thing so you could go in.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to open the umbrella. You're not allowed to move it because there are different laws. Of course, of oil. You're making a house, a dwelling.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eliezer. Thank you.
Until next time.